We can start bringing ourselves onto our mats, beginning our practice. Beginning to focus on the breath. We'll feel this moment. We'll feel into what it means if things are fair. You know, some of us might have experienced some unfairness, either outside of our own personal experience or within our own personal experience. And to, if anything, let go of it. And to acknowledge that sometimes things aren't fair, but that doesn't take away our ability to still be lovingly, right? Dropping the arms, we'll wave them around, move some air. Acknowledge that the distribution of air, if anything, has at least been fair for our lives. Hopefully it continues to stay that way. Beginning to breathe, release, squeeze out all the air, connect hands below. We'll begin our practice with a big inhale, reaching both palms up, connect them above. Release, squeeze the air out, connect below. Completing the first cycle, we'll do 3 more. Moving through our body, doing what's fair. Acknowledging that it wouldn't be fair for us to fold ourselves in half with these expansions, touch the back of our heels with our fingertips. But that we have at least this range of motion to see things with the way they are and to understand that they fall in a certain spectrum. That we're trying to do what's fair for ourselves with what we have. Completing our first 4 cycles. We'll connect our hands below, reaching them up again this time. As we connect, we'll bend our knees, tilt our hips, floating our palms down to the earth. Connecting to the ground. We'll begin to send them back up. 3 more cycles. Floating between extremes. Feeling the fairness of this moment. Completing 4 full cycles, we'll find ourselves in this forward fold. We'll stay here for 4 full breaths. Reflecting on all of the moments we've had in our lives that felt less than fair. With our hands connected like this, we'll just give all of those unfair moments back to the earth from which they came. Acknowledging that there's so much Mama Gaia out there, that everything is made fair. Release. Squeeze lower still. Beginning to inhale, we'll send the palms back up. Connect above, bring that energy down and into the heart. Holding this moment. Feeling the security. Sure, things aren't always fair. But we can be grateful for this moment. Instead of making this moment less than beautiful, because things aren't fair elsewhere, we can make this moment lovingly, sharing the energy of that fairness of the world. With ourselves, we'll release, arms to the sides as we step to the front of the mat. Squeeze the air out, beginning to inhale, we'll send them back up high. Connect above, bend the knees, tilt the hips, connect into the earth. We'll step one of our feet back, stacking the front knee over the front ankle. We'll inhale, the palms up into a warrior 1. Release the air, melt over the front knee. Completing the first cycle. Doing 3 more. Oscillating between warrior and surrender. Acknowledging that between these extremes is extreme unfairness. To the one that needs to surrender, the warrior is unfair. To the warrior, it would be unfair to surrender. Completing these 4 cycles, switching legs, other side of the pose, do 4 more. Continuing to reflect. Noticing, even though these extremes might not feel fair, we are capable of experiencing them. Going through these moments to an entity that is unable to experience anything. The depth of your unfairness might seem unfair to it. Release. Completing our first 4 cycles. We'll inhale, send them back up high. Connect above. Bring that energy down into the heart. Breathing in this moment. Feel the breath. Feel the security. Feel how the earth holds all of us fairly. That there is nobody that gets to experience more or less gravity than you. Release. Beginning to step ourselves wide. Arms out to the sides into a T. Expand and then release. Bending at the hips, tilt. Opposing hand towards opposing foot. Other hand up to the sky, gaze upwards. Inhale, out of the twist. Exhale, as you twist to the other side. Completing our first cycle. We'll do 3 more. Give your body as much breath, as much presence, as much movement as you feel is fair. Noticing what that means to you. Completing our first 4 cycles. We'll complete them. Beginning to bend at the hips. Squeeze the air out. Connect to the earth. Sink low. Bow down. Again, things might not always be fair, but we can still be grateful for the things that we get. Others might have more of the pie, but I'm going to gratefully enjoy my piece. Others might not have any at all, but if I'm not close enough to share with them, I'm not going to starve myself by not eating. Letting things go to waste, that wouldn't be fair either, would it? Release. Squeezing deeper still, fold forward as low as you can go. Beginning to inhale. We'll send our palms up. Bring the feet underneath the hips, either heel toeing or stepping them. Hands to the heart. This moment to reflect, to remember where we've been, where we're going. Again, acknowledging that things won't always be fair. We might get upset, angry with situations, but we will continue to be loving for ourselves and for others. Release. Beginning to step to the front of the mat once again. Arms at the side, squeeze the air out. Inhale, send them back up high. Connecting above, bend the knees, tilt the hips. Connecting to the earth. This time, we step both feet back, sending the hips up high as we squeeze out all the air. Beginning to inhale, slowly drop the knees to the floor. Drop the belly low as we gaze up to the sky. Completing our first cycle. We'll do 3 more. Again, moving fairly between these extremes. Give your all to each of these poses, to yourself, to your body. Feel everything. Completing our 4 full cycles, we'll begin to bring ourselves a little bit back on the mat. Knees nice and wide, big toes connected behind. We'll sit back on our feet, sending our palms far out in front of us, bringing the forehead to the ground. The child's pose. Is it fair that we had to grow up? We are all children of Mama Gaia after all. How did we become convinced that being a grown-up is something that we want? Were we tricked? Or did we completely fairly accept this reality? Accepting the responsibility that comes along with being an adult, both in the context of what we need to do as adults, but also in the context of how we're supposed to treat this inner child. It's very easy to be mean to ourselves, to just take a moment to reframe that inner voice, to speak to it like an inner child, like a child, soft, compassionate, of sensitivity and care. Beginning to imagine the moon above our heads. We'll inhale, standing up on the knees. Gather the palms around that moon energy, bringing it down into the earth. We'll inhale into a plank to the front of the mat. Release the weight as you release the air. Inhale, arching the back up into a mini cobra. Fingertips light. We'll release, pushing ourselves back into this downward facing dog. Sitting up, we'll do 3 more. What is fair? As our experience has been less than fair, what can we do to bring more fairness into the world? What can we do to be more fair with ourselves? Completing our 4 cycles, we'll find ourselves back in this child's pose. Connect to this moment. Allow yourself to let go. Again, all of the experiences that we had, that we would assume are unfair, see them And then watch them being taken through the space that we're connected with the earth. Dark, right? Almost like a portal. See, Mama Gaia, take all of your troubles. All of these unfair circumstances, situations, happenings, actions. Unburden. We'll bring ourselves to our backs. Release the air as you release the weight. Connecting to the earth. We'll begin to stack our knees above our hips. Resting the fingertips lightly on the knees. We'll set up for our final 4 movements. Inhale. Arms up above the head, feet up to the sky. Exhale. Knees back to that neutral position. Inhale. Arms above the head again, feet close to the hips. Send the hips up high. Exhale. Drop the weight. Completing the first cycle. Doing 3 more. Completing our 4 cycles. We'll begin to send both arms, both legs up to the sky with a big inhale. See them in your field of vision and then release them slowly to the earth, fighting gravity all the way down. And as soon as you touch, release, melt. You've earned it. It is fair. having taken a fair amount of rest, we'll begin to open our eyes, take a breath, wiggle the fingers and the toes, rotate the wrists and the ankles, stacking our feet nice and close to our hips, knees high, arms to the sides into a T. We'll drop the knees to one side, and then to the other, twisting the spine. We'll do a few, floating between these extremes, balancing, making fair our spinal cord as well. Release. Completing our twist, we'll bring our knees close to our chest, squeeze the air out, noticing the self-created restriction. Break out. Stretch yourselves out long and wide, expand, receive universal energy. Noticing what it's like to be this expansive, having created fairness. Between restriction and expansiveness, we'll release, beginning to rub our hands together, create some heat. And if there's any part of the body in need of healing, place the hands on that body part, knowing we have this divine ability to heal ourselves, believing this will be no exception. We'll begin to bring ourselves to our sides into the fetal position. Seated is also okay if that serves you. We're just taking a moment to breathe, to see ourselves, to look around in our environment, to see our lives, knowing it'll be a little bit more fair to go and show up for everything else, because we started by showing up for ourselves. Thank you, dear friend. I appreciate you showing up with me. I hope to see you again soon.